Yo, what's up guys? So this week we're gonna do another quick tutorial for you, and that is your first front roll kite loops. And I was trying to think of some fun, faster videos to do again, right to the point, and I wanted to cover one of the scariest but most fun tricks in kiteboarding. And the idea behind this is learning how to do it safely, starting way underpowered, and what you can do to build the muscle memory to work your way into one of the most intense, fun, exciting tricks in kiteboarding. So the whole idea behind this is to do this in light wind, something like 14 knots, where you're just barely able to jump. You know those sessions where you're riding, you get a bit frustrated and you're kind of underpowered and you're thinking about getting off the water. If you start adding loops and trying things like front roll kite loops, back roll kite loops to those sessions, all of a sudden you're bringing power back into it. You're not getting worked by the kite, and you progress a lot faster. So that's the first recommendation, is do this when you're way underpowered, something like 14 knots, 13 knots. And alternatively, you could just size down, but I think most people probably don't want to go out and purposefully ride underpowered. So you can kind of save this trick in the back of your mind for when you're riding and the wind starts to shut off on you and you're just kind of mowing the lawn. And in those moments when it's like, there's not a whole lot left to do, you can remember this trick and start working on it. So the first tip on this one is kind of common sense, but you should master the front roll. So you should be comfortable doing front rolls on every size kite you have in a good variety of conditions, doing it with one hand, adding grabs, landing downwind, landing with power. Every time you go for a front roll, you're confident that you can land it. And once you're on that level, the second step on this is getting the muscle memory for underpowered kite loops. So again, in those same scenarios where the wind's kind of ticking off, you can kind of jump, but just nothing feels really powered or all that exciting, start experimenting by throwing kite loops. And all you have to do is send a jump and pull the trigger. And the lighter the wind, the sooner you can pull the trigger. So if you're just bogged down and there's barely any power and you go to throw a jump, just pull the trigger as you're scooping, and the kite will actually throw you forward, and it won't actually catch you, but you won't need it to, because the loop's just popping you off the water. And the stronger the wind, the later you can pull it, and don't go for like a mega loop or anything like that. Obviously you don't want to jump like 10 feet and then come down and hurt your knees or anything like that. These are like 5-foot jumps, so you're not super powered here. You're just getting used to the timing on the kite loop. So once you're comfortable with that, you're gonna bring the two together. So for step 3 is do the front roll kite loop. So initiate a regular front roll by looking over your back shoulder and sending a jump like you would for normal. And with the timing, this comes back to that second step where you were learning with the power. So if you're super underpowered, you can pull the trigger right away, and what'll happen is the loop will actually loop you into the front roll. And if it's one of those days where it's a little bit of power, there's some wind there, you can pull it later. So what you can do is do a regular front roll, and as you feel yourself start to come out of the roll, you can pull the trigger by pulling really hard on your backhand, and the kite will actually loop at the edge of the wind window. And what'll happen is it'll be a really, if it's light, it'll be a really gentle pull that pulls you forward. If it's stronger, you're gonna feel a pretty intense tug there. And what you wanna do is you wanna start in the light wind and work your way up. And then from there, you can bring those two variables together. So as you get more confident with it, start pulling the loop sooner and feeling more pull as you're doing the front roll. And work your way into this one progressively so that you're completely in control, so that you're confident. This is just the first video, the introductory video on doing these underpowered. So I will do a second tutorial on the next steps, taking this to the next level, and we'll get more angles. But for this video, I just encourage you to get out there in those subpar winds and start practicing this And you can even see in these shots that I'm barely powered here. The loop is actually what's pulling me into my front roll. And these don't really feel all that much more powered than a regular front roll when I send the jump or keep the kite kind of low. And what happens is you just make those super underpowered sessions way more exciting. You develop the muscle memory, and more importantly, you're building the confidence so that when it's time to move on to actually doing real front roll kite loops where you need to catch yourself, you've already done like 200, 300 loops. So that's kind of the whole idea behind progress, is riding right at the edge of like what your abilities are. And for most people, it just doesn't make sense just to jump right into power loops. That's a great way to get hurt. But if you take it slow, ride underpowered, and build the muscle memory, within a year or 2 years of practice, I think most people would be ready to try a legitimate kite loop where you do need to catch yourself. So if you guys found this video helpful, please help me out by subscribing and liking the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you have any questions, let me know, and we'll catch you next time.